Let's go.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may be. This is me, Sandeep Punithan from Chakra News. I'm delighted to be hosting this show again. I'm joined by General P.R. Shankar of Gunners Short, and I have with me, of course, my friend Advaita Kala, who's also joining us. She needs no introduction, and we are here talking about Pakistan's Gaza plan. And General Shankar, over to you first, without much ado. Is Asim Munir paying the bill for that lunch that we had with Donald Trump not so long ago? Has the waiter come with a bill?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? And I think the bill is pretty steep. That's the way I look at it. All the while, everyone thought that Pakistan had got into Trump's good books. He's going to be sold all those rocks which he took and showed to Donald Trump. Pakistan on the rocks, right? Or Munir with the rocks, which call it what you want. And then, you know, uh, Donald Trump, very nicely said, "Oh, great! I'll invest into you. I'll put, invest into your oil reserves, everything." But
Right,
here comes the catch.
right.
He's got this great plan of his, and
Yes,
part of that great, you see, the funny thing is, this great plan of Donald Trump was never hidden.
right,
The day he took over presidency, he wanted to develop a Rivera in Gaza.
right. Absolutely.
Okay, and he's been quietly working to it. Okay, and now he's come out with this Gaza plan, where
Yeah,
his the Britain's great friend, the Tony Blair, all that the guy who did that WMD story and took them into the war and all that and what
right.
for whatever you want, back in the deal. So
Yeah,
they
Jan Shankar. Sorry to interrupt you, but you know who else? And this is what immediately set an alarm bell a few days back in that great meeting in the Oval Office. Guess who was back in the picture? Who had been missing for
Jared
the last
Kushner.
Jared Kushner. The minute I saw him, I said, "Arey baapre, the goose is cooked. Munir will
Uh,
have to pay the bill."
Yeah. So, that plan is great. The plan is very simple. Jared Kushner, Tony Blair, they'll run the Gaza Transitional Authority. Yeah, wo.
Right, right,
Arabs will fund the whole story.
yeah,
Buildings will be made, buildings will be destroyed, and all that. And Palestinians will get jobs, labor.
right.
And Pakistani security guards. So the Pakistani force, will uh, get put there as security guards, or rather to oversee the security. And it's been couched that when the international stabilization force comes in, the international stabilization force will consist of Pakistan and
Right,
you know Indonesia. That's what it's
right.
coming out as it says.
Yes,
The Israelis will withdraw slowly, stage by stage, and
right,
get into that fortified zone of theirs. And Pakistan will then be responsible to control Hamas also and
right.
give protection to this great reconstruction. The Gaza Rivera, which is going to come up. All this is in the cards, and everyone is into it. And probably even the Arabs are into it because they see money.
Right.
Right? Palestinians are, well, Palestinians. So all this. But where does it leave Pakistan? That's a $1 million question,
Yes.
and we can talk of it further. Pakistan has to commit a whole lot of troops out there, right? Pakistan also, as per this pact, I believe Saudis have put a demand for about 25,000 people against Houthis.
Right.
Okay. Now,
So this is
25,000
something that
against Houthis.
Rahil Sharif and Javed Bajwa did not allow the troops to be deployed in Yemen. So you're saying the Saudis will now ask the Pakistanis
No,
to.
I believe they've asked already. That's the news which I hear from others. Some demand has gone. Some demand
Right,
and international stabilization force, that demand is there. See, fundamentally,
right,
where I'm getting it, I'll get to you. Some troops will go there, some troops will go here. Those troops will come from where? From Pakistan army. Where does that leave
right,
Pakistan army? Suppose a division or
right,
two are taken away from Pakistan army, it upsets
right,
the complete balance of Pakistan armed forces. right?
Right. Of course, we'll come to
So,
that later. Then Shankar, we should talk about Pakistan's role as a mercenary, supplier, provider of mercenaries to the region.
yeah,
But
whatever
I
you
want
can
to
say.
bring
Go ahead.
Advaita into this. Advaita, the Trump Gaza plan, Pakistan seems to have done a U-turn on that. You've seen the statement by their ministers in the House saying that, look, the plan that we agreed to is very different from the plan that they have presented finally, this 20-point Gaza plan. You think Pakistan's paying the bills now for that extravagant lunch? And they're going to, develop, buyer's shock.
Well, I think Pakistan has learned the lesson that we all already know, and that is there is no such thing as a free lunch.
Ah,
And so much for tom-tomming it around the globe and kind of cocking a snook at India, trying to at least that look how chummy we are with the US, and finding out that there are consequences for that closeness, and those consequences mean sending their army off to a war-torn zone,
yeah,
which is very volatile, very dangerous, splitting their resources. This is a country which is facing a lot of internal insurgencies as well, be
right.
it Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or Balochistan. I mean, this is a country on the verge of a split if
Yes,
things go as they seem to be going. And in
yes,
that environment, to be sending out your own forces to a foreign land because your generals have been paid well is something which is frankly tragic for this country. And we've been saying this forever, that Pakistanis need to realize that they're being sold all over the globe by their leaders, so-called
yes,
leaders, and need to do something about it. So in a sense, it's amusing, but it's also very sad because things just don't get better for Pakistan. And
right.
never mind, even if they steal the Asia Cup, like
Yes.
physically steal it and take it back to Pakistan, even then they're losers, in
Right.
every deal, on the field, off the field, they're just coming off as losers. And I don't see how this is tenable in the long run. Even if now they send some troops out there, I don't
Yes.
see how they can get out of this. This is really a catch-22. Do you want to upset Trump? Can you upset Trump?
Right. Especially after having eaten that extra 5-course lunch, was it in the White House? Advaita? I think 4 or 5 course. And as you said so correctly, there are no free lunches, especially not with Trump. There's no lunch. And I think Prime Minister Modi dodged a bullet. When I saw that one picture, Advaita, of Benjamin Netanyahu sitting there with a telephone, Trump holding the receiver in his lap, and Netanyahu reading out that statement of apology to the Qataris, I said, my God, I think that is something that you have to give Prime Minister Modi credit for. He saw that. He saw this coming somewhere on the horizon and he stayed away. One of the brightest decisions he took this year was, one is, of course, to strike at Pakistan. The second one was to stay away from the Oval Office. It's a minefield out there. And, Jan Shankar, this point that Advaita made about Pakistanis being sent to the Middle East, West Asia as security guards, explain to our viewers. You've been tracking the Pakistan army for so long. They have a tradition of being a mercenary force as well. Now, they are talking in support of Palestine and the great stuff that they have done for their Palestinian brothers, forgetting the fact that General Ziaul Haq, as a brigadier, supervised the massacre of Palestinians in Jordan. He led that brigade that slaughtered some 10,000 of them, the Black September as it's called. Tell us the history of the Pakistan army as a mercenary force in Asia.
Yeah. Pakistani army has always been a mercenary force. At that time, they were used by King of Jordan.
King Hussein.
Against whom? Palestinians.
Yeah.
25,000. The thing is 25,000, not Palestine, not Jordan. Why? Because the Palestinians wanted to overthrow the king of Jordan.
Yeah.
Right, and these people went as their saviors of the Jordan, and they did it. Then now they got into this place. uh, Saudi Arabia, and
Right.
they're now directing the multinational force with no effect. That's a different story. But now the Saudi says, okay, we have a deal. Please deploy people. Right then, Pakistani army officers have been doing the mercenary job for USA
Right.
against Soviet Russia long back. Even they've got a history.
Yes.
It's not new. Okay, they completely thing, and so they have a whole lot of history for being mercenary. It's a mercenary
Right.
army. It's no more
Yes.
an army. It's a business empire which deals with mercenaries. One part of
Mm.
the Pakistani army is the mercenary action, arms,
Yes.
JAO, and all that. The other is business estates and all. After all, the biggest business in Pakistan is who? The Pakistan Armed Forces. That's
Yes.
the
That's
biggest,
right.
biggest. After all, if you read Aisha Siddiqa's book, Military Incorporated, you get the whole
Yeah.
story out.
Yeah.
So they are businessmen. The
Right.
country being there is incidental. They're not got no
That's right.
love loss for the country, and that is playing out now, incidentally. Let me get
Right.
to
That's
that.
playing out now. Exactly. So Trump, like you said, Shankar, Trump has come out with this plan for the Riviera, the 20-point Gaza plan. For the benefit of our viewers who are not aware of the news that developed last couple of days back. The story is that, of course, Trump came out with that Gaza peace plan where he's got Benjamin Netanyahu in, and Hamas has also kind of agreed to a lot of the peace proposals that Trump has put out. He's just put out a tweet just a couple of hours back, quoting the Hamas's agreement to that, the terms of that ceasefire, where it's going to be a separate zone of sorts that will be monitored by Palestinian technocrats, I believe, and Hamas has allowed for power to be given to them, and it takes a backseat. It does not lay down its weapons, but there is some kind of a separate zone that will be supervised by some kind of international observers and Palestinian technocrats and that kind of thing, and which is all, as we know, building up to that grand vision of a Riviera, as Trump said. It's all a real estate project for Trump, right?
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that I'm going to focus on Pakistan because
Right.
let whatever happened to Gaza, Palestine, that's part of a different story. Let me focus on Pakistan.
Right.
Yesterday when this thing came, there's the 20-point plan which the Pakistanis and the Arabs had agreed to. Something new has come out now. They're saying, and you had Ishaq Dar in the parliament saying, no,
Yes.
we will, all that. The fact remains, like what Advaita said, there's no free lunch. That free lunch is now the price is being leveraged out. What will happen? This is something interesting. I got this from a op-ed in Dawn, written by
Right.
Kurram Hussain. Actually, he's laid it out beautifully.
Right.
What does he say? He says, look, Pakistan is being told unequivocally, next IMF tranche you have to deploy your people there. Period.
In Gaza.
That's the thing. Otherwise, they don't get IMF loan.
Right.
Look, Trump has not said he will put one naya paisa for oil drilling and rocks there. All that is later day story. But today,
Right.
what does the thing in Pakistan is immediate? Not Pakistan, Gaza. Requirement in Gaza is immediate. Okay,
Right.
if it is
Right.
immediate, who will respond? Pakistan.
Hmm.
And right now that lunch is over, the cost has to be paid. No, someone has to pay for that cost. So Pakistanis are paying, and Pakistanis have been told, look,
Right.
if you don't go with this, you don't get your next IMF loan. So
Right.
then what happens? This briefcase dealer Asim Munir with his rocks can keep going all around. No one's going to buy it.
Right.
Okay, so the paradox here. It's a very important paradox, and I'd like Advaita's views on this after I say. Hitherto, Pakistan was being funded by IMF, AAO, and all, or bailed out, call it what you want, for containing radicalization within the country. Right? no more, don't use LET, don't use this thing, don't do cross-border terrorism, don't do international terrorism and all that. Now people are not asking Pakistan to stop terrorism. They say you do what you want inside.
Right.
You come outside. Now you are going to be internationally responsible. Now put your troops there. And only when you put your troops there, you get paid. That's the first part of the story. The
Right.
second part of the story, whom are you going to guard against? Hamas. So you are in direct conflict with Hamas. Hamas is not dead.
Right.
Okay, it's not going to be easy. And 50% of those Palestinian people will support Hamas because it's ideological. I mean, it's natural,
Yeah.
right? If I were a Palestinian, I would still support Hamas. Let me be open about it. Okay, it's his country. Yeah, I mean, let's face fact. It's his ideology. It's his country, and who has stood up to the Palestinians? Hamas. So why will they let go? Right. So Pakistan has to control Hamas, fight Hamas. So when Pakistan fights Hamas, who is the target for Hamas? Pakistan, because they have to get over Pakistan to get to Israel. So
Right.
Israel will keep, whistling all the way to its peace. So Haifa will open up.
That is
Haifa will
our,
open up.
yeah.
The moment something is,
IMEC.
Hamas is contained with this international stabilization force, whatever
Yeah.
happens there, then the Arab will start. That IMEC will start. IMEC is whose requirement? IMEC is the requirement of India, UAE, Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia.
Europe. Most importantly,
Europe, yeah.
Van der Leyen of European Commission says she's given a tweet to Mr. Modi and said, please get that IMEC through earliest.
Right.
So
Right.
this whole story is now completely, I mean, if you look at it, this is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Hmm.
At the end of the tunnel, you have this Pakistani sitting in Gaza, and
Right.
Asim Munir can, his post-retirement benefits will be in Gaza.
No, but so we were talking about this, Advaita. This, what does Trump have in mind? This clearly something that they were discussed over lunch, and we had that. I had that out of box thing where I said that he's possibly getting the Pakistanis to try and recognize Israel. As part of that larger thing that he did 5 years back, which is a big thing, the Abraham Accords, to get Arab countries to recognize Israel, that was a very big thing. That, of course, stalled after the 7th of October 2023. But now it seems that Pakistan is there and they're having to pay the bills. They probably will have to send a security force over there. And as one of our viewers has just posted, Ashok Gazula, what a move, putting one radical Islamist against another radical Islamist, Hamas. Pakistan versus Hamas. So this was, you think it was on Trump's mind all along to get that Pakistani force to go there and guard Gaza, right? It's all about getting a force there. I mean, we would certainly not go there. India would never volunteer for something as stupid as this. But clearly, the Pakistanis have their arms being twisted now. What's on Munir's mind now, Advaita?
Well, I mean, Trump, what's on his mind? Who knows? Today it's one thing, tomorrow it could be another, day after it could be a third. So one doesn't know. What we do know for certain is that he's very transactional. He has no great love for Pakistan. Pakistan may have tried to, position it that way, or rather Asim Munir may have tried to sell it to his people that way.
Yeah.
But the bottom line was there was always an agenda at play. There was a negotiation that was going on, be it rare earths, be it, man power on the ground in Gaza, vis-a-vis monetary help. This is a bankrupt country. It's a country that is sliding into anarchy. Some would argue it already has. It has areas that don't want to be a part of its larger plan. There are a lot of issues that Pakistan faces. It's not in a position to negotiate with any strength. Yes, it did have some fancy ideas of being part of an alternative caliphate with Turkey and Malaysia, but now that's all gone. So remember they're now, being basically puppets in the hands of not only the US, but also Saudi.
Yes.
Pretty much pushes them out of that alliance. And then secondly, I think, it's very important what General raised is you're going to have Pakistan versus Hamas, net. Do I
Yes.
think this peace is going to be peaceful? No. There is going to be backlash from Hamas. It's the nature of the beast, right?
Right.
You can't really change that nature, that ideology. You can't wipe it down out. You can buy some peace, but that's about it. And my analysis really is that, see, the Palestinian issue has animated global jihad in a
Right.
way, because they're Arabs, they're seen as persecuted, etc., etc. And the global jihad is, I
Hmm.
mean, they may have marshals and these chutpaiyas that we call in Pakistan and all, who are like wannabes, and they're focused on India, so we pay more
Yeah.
attention to them. But global jihad is really animated by the Palestinian issue, and
Yes.
anyone who stands up against Hamas, the people, of Palestine, is their target. Now, Pakistan, from being a haven of terrorists, it already is now going to be a target as time evolves and as incidents take place of
Yeah.
global jihad in a way that it has not been so far. It's been a host of global jihad. Now
Right.
it's going to be crosshairs, and they have enough roots and presence in Pakistan to really extract revenge for things, not if they go wrong in Gaza during this so-called, ceasefire, but when they go wrong. So I think Pakistan's on a very dangerous path.
Right. Pakistan's on a very dangerous path, General Shankar, but they are khatron ke khiladi. They're doing this all the time. In the north, it's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Mein there are, the TTP. In the south, it's the Baloch Liberation Army, and now in the west, they have Hamas to deal with. So they are an army that's expert at fighting its own people in that sense.
Yeah.
But what is on General Munir's mind? Or my mistake. Field Marshal Munir's mind at this moment. Has he kind of realized what he's gotten himself into? How is he going to get out of this situation?
Look, let's be very clear. What you raised are very important things. Pakistani generals are risk takers. They have no choice.
Right. Khatron
So
ke khiladi.
Pakistanis, as a rule, are risk takers because they have no choice. Okay, one. And second, they have nothing to lose. The Pakistan state has really nothing to lose. So it has got no choice but to take risk. And but to be aggressive, but to be offensive, whatever you call it.
Right.
That's the first part. The second part, which is important, which we shouldn't miss out. Asim Munir is a deceiver. He's known right from the first day as a deceiver.
Yes. He was called the deceiver in his academy days.
Yeah, from academy days, he's a deceiver. And he is also on his path of deception. So we don't know how this fellow is going to play out. But one thing, I think he's met his match in Trump, because Trump also is known. I mean, apart from the fact that Trump is transactional, I think that's a superficial way of putting things. Trump this time has come with a plan.
Right.
Okay, and a very clear plan he's got, and he's enforcing it ruthlessly. Right? It could be for his profit and America make again, all that nonsense. But the fact is that he's got a plan. To think that Mr. Trump doesn't have a plan is, and the layers are slowly peeling out. So what he's actually speaking even now, and what he's going to do further, and what he is actually aiming finally, even a lot of people who interacted with Trump say no one knows. Only Trump knows. Probably even Trump doesn't know. Okay, so
he's a transactional man with a plan.
With a plan. And he has this deceiver met another. Transactionality is another way of calling it a deceptor. So you're going to have this interesting story. If Pakistan doesn't go into Gaza, that Gaza plan will be difficult to be executed. Right? It can't be executed. Let's be very clear. There's no force who will go there and do all this from the Arab world or the Muslim world. And one of the fundamentals of that plan is get a force from the Muslim world. Indonesia, fine, but Indonesian army is suspect to handle this. will it be capable of handling it? So
Hmm.
actually, you look back now, I rewind back somewhere this has come. They probably thought the Indian army will be the best to handle it,
Right.
right? And they would have approached Mr. Modi, and Mr. Modi has said, "Sorry, we'll not." That's what I think is coming out, right? And that is why Mr. Modi avoided going wherever he had to meet Mr. Trump. Okay, very deliberately ensured that he doesn't meet Mr. Trump. And now
Right.
now the government has come out and said we can only deploy a force if there's a UN mandate.
UN
UN
mandate,
mandate
absolutely.
can't be there. UN mandate can't be there in Gaza. Why it can't be there? Because it's a personal plan.
Yeah,
Jared
yeah,
Kushner,
exactly.
Tony Blair, the rogues of the Western world sitting together and hatching
You
something.
know, and here I want to
Okay.
remind our viewers about Tony Blair's role in the 2003 invasion of Iraq. And General Shankar was in service at that time. General Shankar, you remember the kind of pressure the Americans, George W.
Yes.
Bush, Tony Blair had put on us to deploy the Indian army into Iraq.
Yeah.
And I
We,
mean, it was, they had almost identified a division as well, and there was some people within the government who were in favor of deploying the Indian army to Iraq. And if we had deployed, I mean, can you imagine the consequences of that? We would have been, part of that entire disastrous invasion, and the Indian army would have been targeted.
Yeah, when I think back, there was a large section within the army. Let me be very honest with it. Who were said, "Oh, let's go. We should be part of the international, peacekeeping system, and we should be part of the international system. And this is the right time to get onto the, with
No, this is,
in line with."
within the Indian army, there were people who were in favor of
Yeah, they
deploying.
were.
It
No,
wasn't
that
free.
they were. Look, people are people. There's a lot of discussion that we should be part, but. Uh, Luckily for all of us, and the Indian Army leadership at the top was very clear. There's nothing of this kind which can happen. Let me
Right.
put it. You see, I'll go on a little tangent so people understand. The Indian Army leadership has always been mindful of one fact, that we shouldn't commit the army into tasks which can be done by others and which are not a core tasks of ours. Like we didn't go into Iraq because Iraq
Right.
had a lot of angles to the whole story.
It was not
You
a
know,
UN operation in any
it
case.
was not a UN operation, and so we
2003.
didn't go there. Equally, I remember when left-wing extremism was at its peak, around 2010, and
With a massacre
we,
of the CRPF this thing, troopers.
yeah, at that was the time when General VK Singh was the chief, and there was a lot of
No,
pressure that
General
the
Deepak
army should.
Kapoor. General Deepak Kapoor was the chief.
I'm talking very clear. Let me put it. I'll give you the facts. There was this thing. It was supposed to be there was a time General Deepak VK Singh was the chief. It started
Right.
General Deepak Kapoor's time, but General VK Singh was the chief, and uh, it was being said that look by the government that the Indian army should go into that area of Chhattisgarh and tackle left wing extremism. They even I wouldn't say nominated, they even identified, okay, these are the formations which can go. And I was I had just taken over the RT division, and
Right.
I had my experience in the Northeast. So people said, oh, here comes the RT division commander who's got a lot of experience
Yeah.
in that area, and the RT div is one of the best divs to go there. All this was being spoken of till General VK Singh put his foot down and said, and he very openly in a address to all officers in Pune, and he did it elsewhere also. In
Right.
Pune, he said, look, I've taken a conscious decision that I will not commit the army against our own people in this area, against left-wing extremism.
Right.
Right? This is something which the CAPF should handle, and it stuck, and it's paid us good over years.
Yes.
Similarly,
Yes.
it paid us good for not getting into Iraq. Similarly, this time it is paid us. It will pay us good not getting into Gaza.
Right.
If the
Right.
UN mandate is there, it's a different story altogether.
That's right. We're already there
Right?
in Lebanon, right? The part of the UN mandate.
Yeah, we are there in Lebanon, and
Yeah.
and mind you, in Lebanon, guys like my coastmate Iqbal Singha and all, who were force commanders there,
Yeah.
have had a great reputation with them of
Right.
being some of the best force commanders there, both from all sides, everyone,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because we play fair, Okay, Pakistanis don't play fair. Let's be very clear. So they are prepared to cut corners and all that, and they're prepared to play the footsie games with USA.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
us. We have a character. I mean, India has a
Right.
character. We might be argumentative, we might be, fastidious on many issues, but we have a character
Yes.
of our own. And
Right.
this is the character which everyone likes. Many people, who are this thing, they say, okay, yeah, you can trust the Indians.
Right.
That's the thing which comes. So I think respect the Indians. So the Western ideology and Western thinking, it's a bit of the carpetbagger thinking. Might not agree with this thinking of ours, but that's okay. And
Right.
that's where our
Absolutely.
strategic autonomy comes in,
That's where
right? Our
strategic
thinking comes
autonomy
in.
comes
Yeah.
in, indeed. Advaita, this is one thing that we've been talking about a lot in the last couple of weeks. India's strategic autonomy. It might look a little out of place when you're looking at Asim Munir's fast-paced chess moves, running here, going to the White House, going to Riyadh, going and meeting the Michael Kurila, and all of those things, and you suddenly realize that, hey, the Pakistanis have got one up on us, and they're so ahead in the game, and then you realize, my God, there is a price to be paid for all of this, and at the end of the day, it is in our best interest to keep calm and carry on and play the long game, and not get swayed in by all of these little item numbers, because as you said, every lunch, there are no free lunches. There's a price to be paid for all of this, and this is what Pakistan also would be realizing now. And given the kind of tensions they have within Pakistan, where you have bodyguards killing their own leaders because they just defended a so-called blasphemer and all that, you think the Munir would be looking over his shoulders very cautiously in the next couple of days?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think they're in the crosshairs of global jihad by doing this. So there is going to be backlash, and that backlash is going to be fierce, and that
Right.
backlash is going to come because Pakistan is already so embedded by these terrorist organizations.
Right.
They've played host to so many of them today that that's what's coming their way in the future. I don't see a way out. And to
Right.
me, I'm going to use this phrase not because I think lowly of the Pakistani people, but
Right.
because I do of their government. And basically, in Hindi, we say, "Na auqat dikha di." That's what's happened here, And Pakistanis, their people, their generals have been selling the country everywhere. We already know that. Now they're
Right.
selling human lives and Pakistani blood, which to me is very, very, very disgusting. And think about it. Trump didn't want boots on the ground for Americans. None of
Yes.
the Arab countries want boots on the ground for their people, considering they speak the same language and have a brotherhood. Wouldn't it make
Yes.
sense that Arab-speaking people were there for a peace mission of this sort, wherein they could communicate easily with the local population, provide that empathy as well as security? But no, they're not going. Who's going? Pakistan. And this is
Right.
the problem with Pakistan. And its whole conception, its entire conception has been about, we are part of this larger ummah, when they don't
Right.
realize that culturally they are not acceptable in a way that they will not be by the West, and they
Right.
won't be by the Arab countries. What their
Absolutely.
identity is, whether they like it or not, is South Asian and originally Hindus, civilizationally Hindus, who have converted. That's who they are. And they need
Right.
to make peace with that identity to actually have a voice that is taken seriously in the world. Otherwise, they're just going to continue being tossed around and used like this. And that's about it. Maybe someone gets a fat paycheck, but it's not the people, it's the generals.
Right. Advaita, I just put this meme out there. This is something that General Shankar and me have been discussing. This is Pakistan's Ajay Devgan maneuver. And I asked General Shankar that where do you think the electric pole will, show up? And it looks like the electricity pole has shown up, and it is somewhere in Gaza, it looks like. So Asim Munir has been carrying out this very delicate balancing act, and I think it's it is not without any consequence, as we are seeing in the days ahead. But General Shankar, as Advaita was saying, that Pakistan actually needs to make peace with the fact that they are actually from South Asia and not look for identities elsewhere. But I think what has happened, especially after Op Sindoor, is they've been shaken, like you mentioned, the fact that their nuclear vectors were hit and they became acutely vulnerable about their vulnerabilities. And therefore, they ran to Saudi Arabia, they went to the United States, they went to China, and all of that. You think it's Pakistan will continue this Khatron ke Khiladi mode, or is as has been seen in the past, whenever they have done these geopolitical maneuvers and tried to secure themselves with these relationships, we've seen the backlash here with terror attacks and all that. We've seen it with Musharraf, we saw it with Asim Munir. Is Munir going to try something stupid in the next couple of months?
He can't. Let's be very clear, he can't.
Right.
The fact is that militarily they are in a tight spot.
Right.
Whatever they have lost militarily, look, again, it's not a matter of numbers. You heard yesterday our air chief listing out the numbers which Pakistan has been hit by.
10 to 12
fighters,
yes,
10 to 12 fighters, radars, communication systems, command and control systems. Then you see that C-130 gone, 2 AWACS gone, all that. Generally, if that kind of a force depletion is there,
right,
how can you go for the next war?
Yeah.
How can you go and do something and invite a war onto yourself? And your Rahim Yar Khan, which is your forward base, is still not operational. It's still under repair. Okay. And then there's a lingering doubt whether this Pak nuclear capability is up or not. We don't know what's happened in Kirana Hills. In fact, something happened is beyond doubt.
Yes.
The fact that Noor Khan base had some American element is also now beyond doubt.
Right.
What we don't know, but that's all gone. Right? They're not put that back up. Everything is in hotspots. The Chinese have gone cold. See, the Chinese are not very happy with whatever is happening. They've gone cold. I mean, they're not a squeak from China. And in this victory parade and all that, where was Shahbaz Sharif? He was some corner in one, so he was not there in any frame only. So, and will China come to Pakistan aid now? Because China is now trying to sweeten up to India. They see an opportunity. Market to idhar hai bhai, udhar nahi hai. ठीक है ना? वो तो he wants your market to open. He's allowed. See, look, yesterday someone showed this to me. Aratai AI, Zoho, is now being, in China, opened up in China. Why? Why is he allowing this to come? He knows this is an upstart. It's a startup. He'll just start. No one will pick it up in China. But the flip, he'll say, okay, I'm allowed Aratai here or Zoho in China. Let TikTok come in. Let other apps come into this thing. So his deal is something different.
Right.
Please understand, he is bleeding. China is bleeding. Today morning, I heard there's a YouTube channel called Digging into China by a Chinese. It's not a very popular channel. But that man brings spot on what's the problem in China. You know what he says? Compared to last year to this year, there's a 10% decrease. 10% decrease in transportation in China, whether it is by train or cars or whatever. Overall transportation in China has decreased by 10%. That's hell of a lot.
10%? That's huge.
Year to year. In some cases, it's 10%. In some cases, it's 5%. He said rail, road. He's put in, right. And this he quotes from Chinese figures. He's a Chinese, I think, wherever he is. Now, those facts are astounding. So if that is the case, China is very badly off internally. You think they'll go to Pakistan now to allow Pakistan to go for a war? If they say you want to go to war, go, all the best, carry on. But
Right.
then Pakistan, this is not the only problem. What about Afghanistan? What are the problems with Afghanistan? What's happening in Balochistan? What's happening in, Quetta is virtually under siege today in Balochistan. Day before yesterday, there was a bomb blast in Peshawar. I don't know what happened yesterday. I have not read the Pakistani news so far. Okay. Then 14 people died in JNK,
Hmm.
POK, just 3 days back. That's
Yes.
in science. There are problems with GB. Entire last month, there was no movement across Kunjurap Pass. There were, Tutu Meme and people from China being obstructed to go across by locals. See, it's very nice to talk of Pakistan can do anything it wants.
Yeah.
But on one hand, its tail is being twisted, you go to Gaza, otherwise you don't get the next tranche of IMF. On the other hand, it's not able to handle Balochistan, it's not able to handle Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it's not able to handle Gilgit Baltistan or POK. ये सब छोड़ के वहां चला जाएगा तो फौज का क्या हाल होगा?
फौज
You
का
know,
क्या हाल होगा? Right.
we have to understand that he is deceiving everyone. His Asim Munir's only game in town is deception. So if we fall for that deception, we are fools. Okay,
Right.
we fell for that deception. Let's be this thing. We fell for that deception in Pahalgam. Okay, he did Pahalgam. We saw it coming. We couldn't avoid it. Well, you can't avoid it. That's a thing which you can't avoid. You can't avoid every terrorist attack.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he sucked us into a war which we didn't want. Okay, this is done once. How many times more can he do? The next time it will be curtains up. And you go by yesterday what our chief said.
Yes.
Go by
Yes.
what our defense minister has said, what our chief of air staff has said. You put all three together. If
Absolutely. Yeah.
you put all three together, and if China doesn't heed, then the only person they're deceiving them is themselves.
Hmm. No, that's a very good point, Jan Shankar. We're trying to make sense of why would the defense minister, the air chief, and the army chief, all three of them, make statements a few hours apart, and right there, directed at Pakistan.
Yeah,
And this is basically warning him, right? That
it's
don't
a big
do
warning.
anything
If
because,
Pakistan doesn't take heed, and look, we might have committed some errors in Op Vijay. Okay, we have corrected those errors. Next time, what the army chief said is very important. He said, we have given some leeway in Op Sindoor 1. Op Sindoor 2, we will finish it off. And he said, I'll change the geography of Pakistan.
Right. That's a very
This is a strong word. You say, I'll change your geography.
Right.
Okay. I suppose he said not the actual geography, the political geography of Pakistan will change. And it will change.
Right.
If the next round, we should do that. And we should do it in a very focused manner and change the political geography of Pakistan.
That's right. Yeah, Advaita, firstly, thanks for putting that in perspective, Jan Shankar. It is very important to understand, make sense of all of these statements. And Advaita, it's very clear now that it's actually the Indian political leadership signaling to the Pakistani politico-military, that hybrid government that they have there, that don't try anything smart. I mean, we're going to change your geography. The words that the army chief used, it may not be just the political geography, it could well be the physical geography as well, as is done in the past. They might lose territory is what he's hinting at. You think that Munir will take this lying down, or do you think he's going to try something stupid? General Shankar has mentioned the fact that there's tremendous pressure on him. He cannot act. His air bases are still down. His air defenses, his air defense radars are still not being replaced. Those holes are still there. You think Munir is going to try anything stupid, or just go with the flow?
I think Munir will probably run to Trump and say India and its officials are using threatening language against Pakistan. Can you prevail on them to not take any action? I think that's what he's going to do. and that's
Right.
the only thing he can frankly do at this point, because where is he going to put his people? I mean, they're pulled in all directions. He's surrounded on three sides by countries that don't trust him, that don't like
Yeah.
him, Iran, Afghanistan, as well as India.
Mm.
On one side, he's giving up space for America to have presence there, so he's upset China and
Mm.
to take on Iran. And on the other side, we have our generals and our chiefs saying things like, we'll change your geography. And I think it's not an empty threat. I think it's a matter of time before that happens. Mostly also because internally it's people are so restive. This
Right.
whole construct, I won't even call it a nation, but this construct of Pakistan is based on delusions that have formed from their core identity issues, and as a result, it's a very fractured kind of country. And you see what's happening in POK. I mean, it's a matter of time. I think we should take it back. We've waited too long. There will be an opportunity. The way I read the situation and the shifting sort of priorities of global nations and the pressure tactics that they're using, I think there is an opportunity to do it, and I think we should. And leave Pakistan to its rest of its territories, whatever they may be, whatever they may continue to be, highly unlikely, and watch the disintegration of this country, because really, I mean, it's brought no glory to itself.
Mm.
75 years on into its independence, it's become a host of pariah terrorist organizations. Nobody in the world trusts it. It's bankrupt. It's always out with its begging bowl. It's now selling the blood of its people on a foreign soil. So what is there to this country?
Right. Right. Absolutely. What's there to Pakistan now, Jan Shankar? Tremendous challenges for Pakistan, but the military revels in these kind of challenges because I guess it gives them a sense of purpose. The fact that they always have a crisis and therefore they become indispensable for Pakistan, because if you don't have a crisis, then you don't need the military. If you don't have a national security crisis, you don't need the military. And I think Pakistan army has played on this existential threat from 1958 on, since they actually captured power. You think Munir, this is a state of affairs that actually suits Munir, because he wants this, and we all forget about that lone Pakistan cricket captain turned politician, jo bechara 2 saal se he's in prison.
अंदर पड़ा है.
So everyone's forgotten about him. It's so sad. He's probably one of the most courageous politicians on the Indian subcontinent, but he's just out of sight, out of mind. And Munir would like it that way.
Look, this is this is a gravy train for the Pakistan army. Let's be very clear. They are looking at it from a mullah point of view.
Right.
Okay, and let's not have any doubt. There's money coming in. They'll get a good cut of this. Trump won't hesitate to pay Pakistan army some amount if these people commit, or Saudi Arabia won't mind. Look at it from a Saudi point of view.
Right.
Why should they go around trying to get peace between Palestine and Israel and all these fellows? They're not interested. If Saudi Arabia forces Pakistan to go there and put some money and all that, now Saudi Arabia gets the cake. They are the leaders of the Muslim world.
Yeah.
Look at it. Look at their games. No, we shouldn't always look at it from the India-Pakistan paradigm. Look at it from others' paradigm. So उसके लिए पाकिस्तान है, कड़ा कर दो उधर. So fine.
Yeah.
So if the Israel-Palestine problem is solved in this manner, so be it. There's no other way anyway left. Is there any way? There's the only way which is feasible, right? So Saudi Arabia, everyone is beholden to Saudi Arabia. So are Pakistanis. But Pakistanis will get their money. Who will get the money? Pakistan army will get the money. right? And the IMF will give some one tranche to Pakistan, and the Pakistan army will be paid for deploying their force there. Happiness. So what's wrong for Asim Munir? After all, this is not a new situation. Didn't Pervez Musharraf also didn't he do when he flipped after 9/11? He caught hold of all people in Pakistan and they said, no, we should side with USA. It's not inside Pakistan. He will tell
Yeah.
everyone in Pakistan, why, what's your problem? I'm sending army to sort out this thing there. We'll get money. Our own thing will come. National interest comes first. It's not against our people. It's not against Pakistan. And as far as USA is with us, this is the line he'll sell to his own people. As long as USA is with us, India won't attack us. And then China is also with us. And Saudi Arabia is also with us. The story which will come out is, look, all the big powers and the rich powers are with us. We have still got USA on our side, and India is against USA, or India has been thrown out, made a pariah. All the story will sell. I mean, it's a nice story for Pakistan to listen, yeah, at the grassroots level. He's got his story ready, he's got his purse ready, and he's got his force to sacrifice. How does it matter him?
Right.
And that keeps him in chair. He is not responsible for economy of the Fauj, Pakistan and all. वो उसके लिए शबाज शरीफ है ना. Shahbaz Sharif, Ishaq Dar, all these chaps will keep answering that. He doesn't have to answer whether the
He
economy
does.
goes up or down.
So that kind of also explains the current hybrid government in Pakistan. Where you have the civilians who are the front-facing guys who take all the brickbats, and you have Munir, who's the field marshal, who takes all the photo ops and the rocks and all that. That's the scenario that's going to play out. But Advaita, I was at this seminar yesterday, a day-long seminar that was conducted by the Indian Army, their Western Command in Mathura, and it was a day-long seminar dedicated only to Pakistan. I know we shouldn't give them that kind of importance, but here they are, a force in being, a clear and present danger, if you can call them that. With all their contradictions, this house on fire thing, insurgency, bankruptcy, they're still planning, they're still playing the game. They're still at it, trying to figure out where they can be useful, sell their citizens, rent them, move them, do all of that. It's that classic thing of Pakistan thriving in crisis. And there is another interesting analogy. I was just reminded when General Shankar spoke about it, that Pakistan is a country that has always thrived on external crisis, and every time you have a dictator who comes there, all the dictator has to do is to make himself useful to the US cause, and he's in business. You had in 71, you had Yahya Khan. He facilitated the US-China rapprochement. Kissinger went to China through Pakistan. And of course, he's discarded after that. He's not required. Then in 79, you had Ziaul Haq. When the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, the Americans wanted a frontline ally. And in 2001, it is Pervez Musharraf, war on terror, Afghanistan again. The dictator is needed. And now in 2025, it is Asim Munir. So it's incredible how, history never repeats in Pakistan. It always rhymes. And there will always be an external crisis, and there will be a useful dictator.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, I think the party is still on, at least in terms of public posturing. So you are going to see Munir being feted by the Western world, maybe banquets here and speaking somewhere else, and, all of that splash because he's sending his men out there to fight the wars of the or the West, I guess, to some extent. So he will be feted. That we can expect for the next couple of months. But what is going to happen below the surface is the fact that Pakistani security guards or soldiers, they're going to be like security guards, let's be real, in Gaza are going to be viewed as American proxies. And you're not going to be able to divorce them from that identity. And
Right.
that causes very serious, very long-term issues for Pakistan and Pakistanis. Because the moment you're viewed as an American proxy, you're not Qatar. You don't have the big bucks.
Right.
Be able to be chatting with the Americans, giving them their largest base in the Middle East, and yet kind of be relevant in the Muslim world and with the characters, Hamas, etc., and all the other people they chat with. Pakistan is not going to be able to play it like Qatar. What they're going to be is actually going to be out on the ground as American proxies, doing things that can get very messy at times. And
Right.
that is a very dangerous. I think Pakistan is heading into very dangerous territory for its own survival. And it may not happen in the next year or 2 years, but it's coming. And they're getting into those crosshairs very, very, very clearly. And because Asim wants to make a quick buck. And he's probably making a quick buck. I mean, there are all kinds of stories that his wife and daughter have already moved abroad. They've already taken citizenship of, I think, US or something. All those kind of things. So he's got an exit plan for himself, and he'll have a very comfortable exit plan as well. He will live out probably till his old age and have a lot of money, and things are fine for him. If you're Asim Munir, this is good time, because you're going to have an exit plan. You have all the money in the world. You're going to be feted by the Goras, till they need you. So you're going to be their champion on the ground, and really going out there and enforcing peace and doing it for the brotherhood. And all of that's going to work really well for him. But the country itself, I think, is getting into very dangerous times.
Yeah. 1 minute, Sandeep. I'll have to quit now. I have another engagement. You both of you continue with the question, right? Okay.
Right. Of course. Right, sir. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you,
a lot.
General.
Advaita will speak next week. Yeah.
Chat soon.
See you, Jan Shankar. So, Advaita,
Bye.
there
See
they
you.
are.
Thanks.
Thank you. Pakistan on very dangerous ground, and speaking of ground, I was just reminded of this iconic photograph. I think this is going to haunt Pakistan for a very long time.
What are these rocks?
The rocks that Asim Munir took to the White House to show President Trump, the rare earths and the precious minerals that the Pakistanis have under their soil, and this is what he has promised the Americans, I think.
It's a beautiful image, because he's really doing what he does, which is selling.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's a classic image. You're a salesperson, right? If you didn't know who these people were, and if you just saw a man holding a box open and others looking at it very intently, you'd be like, what's he selling? So there you go. That's what's happening here.
The rock show in the White House. Trump always promised. Yes.
Sandeep, I want to ask you a few questions since we have a few minutes. I want to know from you how much of this Gaza peace plan and the quickness or the swift with which it's happening now has to do with Israel having attacked the Hamas leaders in Qatar, and Qatar kind of being really upset about it. So Qatar for the first time probably feels threatened.
It is. See, I think Trump was furious by what they did to Qatar, right? And I think the Qataris freaked out because, the impact of that attack, it might have appeared as militarily, I think it's one of the most brilliant attacks that the Israelis have carried out. And if you see the manner of that,
because they didn't get any Hamas leaders.
They didn't get any Hamas leaders, but they've actually told Hamas, they've put the fear of God into them. They said, look, even if you're in Qatar, which is a US ally, it's a major non-NATO US ally, they have struck them across. Qatar is something like more than 1,500 kilometers away from Israel. It's protected by a wall of other countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, all of that. So it's at the far end of the Israeli reach and a fighter jet endurance. But if you see how the Israelis have targeted the capital, Doha, they flew into the Red Sea, and this is there in a lot of graphics. They flew into the Red Sea, and then they launched an air-launched ballistic missile. Now, this is a special kind of a ballistic missile launched from fighter aircraft. They have this. They are one of the few countries in the world with that capability. It's an aero-ballistic missile. So the aircraft basically launches a ballistic missile when it's in flight. They launched it over the Red Sea, and it flew over Saudi airspace, and then it arced into Qatar, and it hit a target. So that is how they carried out this attack. It's a very innovative use of an aero-ballistic missile. Now, tactically brilliant. I think it's strategically disastrous because the Qataris called Trump, and I think, they have a special relationship with Trump. They were the first guys to figure out this guy is a transactional, mercantilist president, and they did everything to keep him happy. They gifted him a presidential jet, all of that. And they said, look, they must have said there are going to be consequences for this. The Qataris are very influential, they're very important. A complete this thing of their size. They're a very tiny country, but diplomatically they're very hugely influential. And look at what the Saudis did. The Saudis went and they got hold of the Pakistanis, said, look, the Americans have been shown to be an untrustworthy security provider. So that whole thing was shaken. And Trump read the riot act to Bibi. And if you see that, I mean, I don't think of any head of government that would put his country through this kind of humiliation of Netanyahu literally sitting there and saying sorry to the Qataris with Trump holding the telephone. We discussed that, right?
No, but this is significant for Trump as well, because there is an increasing sense in the US that America does Israel's and Bibi's bidding. And there's for some reason that Trump is scared of Israel, and he's maybe they have something on him, maybe they're just too powerful, all this kind of conjecture, including in the right, American right. So I think this is important to make a show of it.
Who the boss is. Yeah, exactly. So that kind of, see that image, and Trump is a very smart guy if you look at it, and he's been advised by some smart guys as well. I think, look at the pictures. See these pictures, we may forget all the social media posts, and we will never forget the power of that image, right? We just saw that image of Asim Munir with the rocks. The other image is the one of Trump holding the telephone, very clearly saying who the boss is, and Bibi on the line reading out a statement. It's almost like a hostage situation. It's like a hostage being forced to call home and say sorry, or these are the demands and stuff like that. So Trump has actually shown who the boss is, and I think it was important for him to reassert the US being in the driver's seat in West Asia, because as you correctly pointed out, otherwise it would have been really catastrophic. It would have shown Trump as actually being led by Bibi and the Israeli hard right. So I think Bibi also kind of figured out, Netanyahu must have figured out, look, I need to do something. This is a compromise. This is the least that I can do, because he also is possibly looking at the big picture. While it might have been...
and with Israel, they have a problem, because increasingly global opinion is turning against them, because this has gone on for too long. Their children starving. Anyone with a conscience cannot, just watch that happen. So Israel is also being pushed into a corner. Remember, England and France recognized Palestine, who are traditional allies. So Israel is losing the global perception battle. So they need an out as well.
Yes. So this was their off-ramp, and I think they got it with this. And I think Trump was happy at it, clearly, and his Gaza plan is on track. And he's managed to rope in Munir, made him pay for that lunch. And this is, as somebody over here said, that if I were Munir, I'm just reading one of our comments, one of our viewers posted that if I were Munir, I would be checking my cargo hold very closely, right? Um, and that is, of course, a reference to the box of exploding
Exploding
mangoes.
mangoes.
That's right. So, Advaita, if you're okay now, we'll take a couple of questions. I think
Yeah.
some of our viewers have been posting questions as we were speaking. Advaita, a lot of fan mail for you. You might want to check that out.
Oh, really? I haven't seen
Uh,
any.
That's Advaita. Everyone is asking Advaita view like gentlemen. Okay, of course. That is one of the other views. But
What is it? Advaita?
everyone is asking Advaita's views like gentlemen. Of course, we ask
Oh,
Advaita's views because she knows a lot. Um,
wow. Thank you.
well, PR acting like superstar. Janil Shankar, of course. Hamas visiting faculty was there in Pakistan before the Pahalgam attack, and now this. Fact, Indian
They won't be
peacekeeper.
collaborating much longer. Don't worry.
Right. So, why are you giving so much importance to a failed state like Pakistan? That's actually, Advaita, over to you.
Oh,
Why so much importance to Pakistan?
it's like this. When you're trying to sleep and a mosquito keeps buzzing over your head, it's a small mosquito. You're probably like, I don't know, 10,000 times its size, but it's
Right.
still loud enough for you to hear that buzz. And it's an irritant. You still pay attention to it. You maybe spray something on it or, try and get rid of it. It's pretty much the same situation. It isn't anything more than that, frankly.
Right.
And, I want to ask you this, Sandeep, because you cover the defense forces so closely for so long. Why have the defense minister, the air chief, and the army chief made those kind of statements in sequence? And what are they saying? Because these things are choreographed, they're carefully thought of. I mean, the chiefs don't talk at all unless they have to. So, even if it was just the defense minister saying something, one could say that's a politician. Okay, fine.
Yes.
We've heard you. But what do you make of this?
Well, Advaita, like I mentioned, I was at this seminar yesterday, Western Command seminar, and a lot of serving officers were there. There were some very, very bright people from the strategic community. There was Ambassador Vivek Karju was there. Sushant Sareen was there. A lot of very close Pakistan watchers. There was, think tankers. All of them were there. So the sense that I got.
Please take me next time if I'm permitted.
For sure. This was one at very short notice. But, the thing is that the sense that I got, especially from the military community there, is that they believe Pakistan is trying something stupid, as they always do in the past as well. You've seen there is a pattern to it. When Pakistan is in crisis, it reaches out to its so-called strategic partners, the US, Saudi Arabia, China, and it builds up these equations, and it gets onto an even keel. It thinks that it's balanced, and then it tries something stupid with India. So they believe that Munir will try something stupid in the next couple of weeks, and that is precisely the reason why many of these views were echoed in private. What you saw is the public posturing from India, signaling, politico-military signaling of a very high order to Pakistan from not just the two of the three serving chiefs, but also from the defense minister, warning Pakistan not to try anything stupid because there would be consequences for this. You saw that. Look at the time and the place of it. You had the defense minister in opposite in Gujarat, opposite where the Pakistanis are mobilizing near the run of Kutch, which is something that they started in 65 as well, if you remember. And he's warning them there. Then you had the army chief also along the border, along the boundary, warning them about a change in their geography. And of course, the air chief talking about the damage that was inflicted on Pakistan. So this is actually politico-military signaling to Pakistan that don't try anything stupid. You will pay a heavier price this time around than you did the last time. That's how I see it.
Okay, one more question. Do you think because Pakistan's in a bind, okay, maybe Munir is not seeing it, but people around him are seeing it, that, we're going to be taking on the global jihadi network by
Right.
doing this, by being perceived as proxies of Americans in Gaza.
Yes.
Do you think they might trigger a conflict with India to find a way out and to say that we cannot spare forces in Gaza because we're in this conflict on home ground?
Right. Yeah, good question, Advaita. But the thing is that can they sustain that conflict? Uh, they cannot last more than a couple of hours in this. And, they're not repaired. As General Shankar mentioned, they've not been able to repair their bases. And something that we miss is the fact that for them, warplanes, their fighter aircraft, are very important. They're very precious. Human life doesn't matter much to the Pakistanis. If they lost a couple of pilots, technicians, ground staff, they're okay with it. But when they lose aircraft, that's a very big blow to their prestige. Because for them, they're almost irreplaceable, right? They're running a very lean kind of military. A lot of it is paid for in hard currency, so they have to keep their aircraft flying all the time. They have more pilots than they have machines, precisely for this reason. So when that is the reason why the Air Force chief repeatedly emphasized that you guys lost 12 aircraft, we've destroyed your airfields and your radar sites, indicating that all is not well with you. So I think this is a warning from the Indian military leadership that if you try anything stupid, this is what's going to happen. And they will do something stupid. They're smarting from what happened in Munich, because in Op Sindoor in May, they might have spun the narrative that it was a great David versus Goliath battle, and we brought down a couple of Indian planes, which they did in the opening hours, and this has been admitted to by the Indian military as well.
Do we have a number?
We don't have a number, but the Chief of Defense Staff did admit to the fact that yes, there were some losses, but we have inflicted far more damage on Pakistan, and that is the numbers that the Air Force Chief has given out.
And we didn't lose any pilots, right, Sandeep?
We didn't lose any pilots. All the pilots that went to the mission came back. That statement came out in the initial hours itself. From the Air Force chief and from multiple other spokespersons. So this is, it's a very grave situation, because you have Pakistan that's still smarting from the blows that were inflicted on it on the 10th of May and looking for revenge. And we have to be really prepared, Advaita. And, we can't look at it only as a linear kind of thing that, it is across the line of control or across the international border. The Pakistanis might try something from some other front. They might possibly come in from Bangladesh or from Nepal or something, but they will do something. Because for them, as Christine Fair, she's brought out in her books, very interesting books on fighting to the end and, books like that, where she says for Pakistan, the Pakistan army, which rules Pakistan, defeat is not a problem, right? Because they have constructed the idea of defeat very differently in their minds. For them, defeat is when they stop fighting. It's not when they are, forced to surrender in 71 or when they're forced to withdraw in 99 or, stalemate.
That's how the army stays relevant. That's how the army stays relevant.
They have to keep they have to keep demanding larger share of resources from the state, impoverish the state, just suck out all the resources. They gave themselves a 20% budget hike this year after Sindoor. I mean, that's astounding for a country that's bankrupt, which is living from hand to handout to mouth. They managed to pull this off. And like we were discussing today with General Shankar, the fact is that they're just continuing to perpetuate this crisis so that they emphasize their relevance, their continued existence. And, I think we should take a few more questions if there are. Please discuss POJK. Situation has gone out of control in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, POJK. Yes, it has. It's very serious. You look at the unfiltered videos that are coming out of POJK. It's very grave. People are up in arms, and they've been attacking and destroying government property. And that's only a matter of time before it spills out of control. But despite all of this, it's astonishing how the house is on fire, Advaita. It's like I liken Pakistan to a bungalow, several rooms. Several of the rooms are on fire, right? But the military is still holding the hall and maybe the kitchen. The hall being Pakistan's Punjab province. And they're okay with the fire in all the other rooms. Oh, dekh lenge. The heartland should not burn. Punjab should be safe. That's our route to stability. So they're okay with
they have a bunch of fire extinguishers, and they go douse it out for about a little bit and then run back in the hall and stay safe in Punjab. And that's really what they're doing.
Right. There's a story about the Indian peacekeeping force in Golan Heights, Lebanon. I feel neither Hezbollah nor Israel was happy with Indian peacekeeping force because India don't abandon their principle. Yes, of course, that's a statement. A country obsessed with religion is bound to be brainwashed, especially when religion is politicized. Yes. Kirana store opened in Hills. Yeah, these are smart comments. Munir tries to wriggle out, he will get Ziaul Haq's fate. Now, that's actually a very big question there, Advaita. And conspiracy theory again. Ziaul Haq, 1988, somewhere after the Soviets had already agreed to pull out of Afghanistan. The conspiracy theory is that no one knows till date who killed Zia. But the fact is that Zia had already gotten too big for his boots. And there were a lot of people who were after him. And the fact is that by 88, Zia had already outlived his utility, especially to the Americans. Right? He was not needed.
And he was becoming more radical also.
He was becoming more radical. He was becoming a problem. So they just, as they do in a lot of intelligence operations, they shut down the operation. And in this case, it seems to have been a rather large and spectacular shutting down of the operation where Zia and his top brass and the American ambassador to...
I was just going to say that. That's the only thing that makes me reconsider that could it have been a CIA operation. A CIA operation would not target one of their own, an American. At least that's the sense that one gets,
right.
Especially somebody in government. And if it was an ambassador, it's quite likely in Pakistan during the Cold War at that time, it's quite likely that he may have had an intelligence background of sorts himself.
Right. That's exactly the point that Srinivas Kambapati's Ashok Gazula has raised. Who do you think blew up Ziaul Haq and the American ambassador? We're just talking about that. We really don't know, Ashok. It's definitely someone who had an axe to grind or several axes to grind against Ziaul Haq. And, there is that satire that, who was it who wrote? Mohammed Hanif wrote.
Exploding Mangoes.
Right?
Yeah.
Where he basically points there are about half a dozen people who wanted to get Zia out of the way, including his own military generals. Let's not forget how ambitious Pakistan's generals are, and everyone
their leaders. This is what they do. I mean, but look at Pakistan. Benazir killed, Bhutto hanged, Zia was blown up.
I've not understood
Imran
this
Khan in jail for years.
Violent political rivalry in Pakistan and in Bangladesh. It is of a nature that we are not used to seeing in India. In India, you have an electoral defeat. You have the Prime Minister becoming leader of the opposition or going home graciously. And he has, they have a very good equation with their former political rivals. But I think in Pakistan especially, they don't rest till their rivals are killed. Whether it
Well,
is
they
Zulfikar
need
Ali
to stop.
Bhutto,
They need to stop
Benazir.
worshipping Aurangzeb, and maybe they'll. It's again,
Yeah,
it's a mental
exactly.
makeup, right? If you celebrate a character like Aurangzeb,
Who's murdered
then
his brothers and exactly.
yeah, so then you open up the doors of permissiveness to all kinds of situations.
Absolutely, fratricide and parricide, and all of those other sides. Uh, Krish Iyer's got a question. Do the panelists think it would be a good idea to get involved in Gaza and show support to Israel? Should India pass the opportunity? I think we answered it in the show, Krish. I think personally it would be a terrible idea to get Indian boots on the ground anywhere there. You do not want anything that will radicalize the Indian population, and especially when you have Indian troops over there between Israel and Gaza.
Because
Not a good idea.
stuff is going to happen, and I'm glad we talked about Jordan, because a lot of in the past 3 years, a lot of people have been saying, like, why aren't the Arab countries doing anything, etc., for Palestinians, considering they're from the same stock, essentially, right? Arabs. And it's because, the Palestinians have taken they're temperamentally, they're restive. And that's what happened in Jordan as well. When Jordan opened its doors to Palestinian refugees, there was an attempt to overthrow the government. So
Right.
there are these issues within the Arab world is also not a monolith, right?
Yes.
They have their own dynamics. So there
Yes.
is a certain perception about Palestinians which makes these other Arab countries very kind of restrained in terms of how much they want to engage,
Yes.
especially because a lot of them are ruled by families or emperors or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Despots,
No,
yeah.
and there's someone here, Photog, saying India's obsession with Pakistan is an abysmal level. Such a big country, their thought process can't go beyond South Asia. That's not true. We
I
just
think
heard that. Yeah.
the mosquito
We answered
analogy.
that. Yeah. It's just Advaita ji displays the blissful knowledge inherent in dharmic civilization. Advaita ji, thank you for being with us. That's the reason that we have you on the show. It's who else has been forgotten? Imran Khan Goldsmith. That's failure of India's policy that we aren't able to force Pakistan to change behavior. The sheer gumption of bankrupt country like Pakistan nursing global ambitions. Well, it's a challenge, definitely, Aditya. I mean, I know it's a comment that you've made, but I want to take that up. The fact is that you have to understand the reasons for Pakistan's creation. Don't go by this traditional narrative of Hindu, Muslim. Yeah, of course, that was also there at the bottom of it, but it was also an imperial project. The creation of Pakistan. If you go read some of the declassified Whitehall papers that right through the 1920s and 40s, the discussions within the UK about the creation of a homeland for Indian Muslims to act as a counterweight to India's preeminence in the region. That is actually at the fundamental thing. And the fact is that as late as 1947, you have the British General Staff assessments saying that Pakistan will give bases to the West, including the UK, but India will not, right? So right from 47, they have seen Pakistan as something like a UK British aircraft carrier, a permanent aircraft carrier parked in the Indian subcontinent. And that is where its utility really lies, almost
And
a century.
also, it has some key geostrategic points in its geography,
Yes,
which make
exactly.
it valuable to
Which
other
make it extremely
players.
valuable. Yeah, it is what I regard it is the creation of Pakistan was the last act of the Great Game, which began in the 19th century, and that continues in varying shapes and sizes.
No, Pakistan is still playing the great game.
The Pakistan is playing a small subset of the Great Game. It thinks it's playing the Great Game, but it is being played by the larger players.
And the West is going to make sure Munir still thinks he's playing the great game. That's going to happen for the next year or so. So get ready for it.
get ready for
fawning pieces in NYT and Washington Post and about Munir and Pakistan's Gaza initiative. All of that is going to come.
I'm asking a genuine question. Why is the world leaning towards Pakistan after Sindoor? That's a question. Silver Flash is asking. You want to take that? Is the world leaning towards Pakistan after?
No. It's because they're useful, right? They serve a purpose and they're ready to do the bidding of the highest bidder. It's as simple as that. Do you see India sending its troops to Gaza? No. There are a lot of things that we won't do. We can't do. We won't do it. So that doesn't make us that pliable. And this is really post-colonialism, right? The remnants, like Sandeep said, like the Imperial Project. The West, even today, 75 years on, is used to dealing with a certain kind of South Asian.
Right.
Let me put it that way.
Certain kind of South Asian, which we don't want to become that certain kind of.
We don't want to be that because we spent 200 years doing that. We don't want to be that. And we fought for our freedom and we have our own identity and we have our own agenda and our own priorities.
Yes.
We're not going to be that person.
We're not going to be that South Asian that you want.
Correct.
Finally, one last question, Advaita. Do you think, Divyesh Lagisetti asks, do you think Pakistan recognizes Israel be the first one to sign the Abraham Accords? Now, this is a question that we've asked in the past as well. What is going to be the price of that lunch that Munir had? Is it going to be Pakistan signing on the Abraham Accords, which is basically the recognition of Israel by the Muslim world, the Arab world, and of course the Muslim world, which Pakistan is part of? Advaita, consequences of Pakistan, a radicalized Pakistan, a deeply, fundamentally radicalized Islamist society like Pakistan, recognizing Israel, what will it mean for the political military class that rule Pakistan?
No, it's not going to happen right now. In fact, that would be one of the things that Pakistan would say. If you want us on the ground, we're going to set a lot of people back home, our radical mullahs who are there. We're going to upset all of them because shit happens, right? Pardon my French, but it's a war zone. And so we need to take this step by step. So we're not going to do it right now. That's probably the language they're using with the Americans on this particular issue right now. And see, Pakistan's not a leader. They're not going to be the first ones to sign. If Saudi Arabia signs it, then Pakistan will then say, oh, the leader of the Islamic world and the Holy Land, they've signed. So now we can also. So they're not leaders. They're followers. So even if there wasn't this whole Gaza plan, they would not be the first to sign in any case.
Right. Absolutely. They won't be the first one to sign on it because signing on the Abraham Accords in a society like Pakistan is akin to placing a crate of exploding mangoes in your aircraft. That's what I think would happen to any of the leaders who signed in on the plan, given how volatile Pakistan is currently. And we actually underestimate how, communally triggered the whole country is. Sectarian and,
look at the cricket players. The kind of thing.
Even the cricket players. They've become
there is hedging and there's sledging and all of that. And abusing and fooling around. But they are actually very, very communal and very sort of, it's horrible.
Yes, absolutely. And with that, I think we should wrap up this Saturday morning chat.
Nice long one today.
Longer one today because as one of our viewers was saying, that nothing triggers us like Pakistan. That mosquito in the room, that causes a lot of trouble. I know it gives us, keeps us from sleeping.
That one mosquito will not let you sleep.
Not let you sleep. Thank you. Fabulous analogy there, Advaita, as with other things, and that the fact that in geopolitics there's no free lunches, and we're just seeing Pakistan having to pay the price for that very lavish 5-course meal that Asim Munir had at the White House. But that's a story we'll be tracking in several installments every Saturday morning. Thank you for joining us. I hope this was as enlightening and as illuminating for you as it was for me. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
the lunch is over. The acid reflux is coming.
Indeed.
Say that.
On that note, thank you very much. Thank you, Advaita.
Bye. Thanks.
Namaskar.